Welcome back to Eminence Daily, where the truth behind fame gets exposed. 50 Cent and Eminem are finally joining forces to put a spotlight on Jay-Z and Beyoncé, throwing major accusations their way. They're calling out everything from award manipulation to allegedly stealing from Black creators and knocking down anyone who steps in their path. According to 50, Jay-Z is still actively trying to block his business moves behind the scenes, pulling strings like a real puppet master. At the same time, Eminem's been sounding the alarm in his music, dropping mysterious bars about industry bosses and secret hands running the game from behind closed doors. It's getting wild now. Beyoncé is also catching serious heat. People are accusing her of taking credit for songs she didn't write, and allegedly blackballing other female artists like Aaliyah, Maya, Carrie Hilson, and even Mary J. Blige. It's turning into a pattern that's hard to ignore. But wait, there's more. Jay-Z and Beyoncé's tight connection to Diddy is back under scrutiny. Jay may have dodged the recent Jane Doe lawsuit, but word is the woman involved is now hinting she was forced to back down after some mysterious people popped up at her door. That's got folks talking like never before. With all these claims coming to the surface, people are starting to ask if Jay and Bey are really powerful legends or just masters at hiding the truth. Do 50 Cent and Eminem really know what's happening behind the curtain? And how many people's careers or lives have been wrecked in their rise to the top? For years, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were seen as music royalty, untouchable, unstoppable, and sitting at the top of the game. Speaking against them used to get you labeled as bitter or jealous. But now that flawless reputation is cracking, more insiders are stepping up, and leading the charge are none other than 50 Cent and Eminem. Let's break it down, starting with 50 Cent. He's been throwing major shots at Jay-Z, accusing him of being insecure, petty, and straight up jealous. And 50 says he's got receipts. Back in 2023, 50 claimed that Jay tried to block his performance at the Super Bowl by pulling strings through his NFL connections. But the plan backfired because Eminem wouldn't perform without 50 on that stage. That move alone exposed a major power play. Fast forward to a recent interview on Talk with Flea featuring Cameron. 50 doubled down and called Jay out again. This time he said Jay's been running shady games, not just in music, but across business too. And here's the wild part. 50 says Jay has already cemented his legacy. So why is he still out here allegedly trying to mess with 50's deals just out of spite? It doesn't stop there. 50 and Eminem are now linking up to take the fight further, calling out the Carters over Grammy manipulation. 50's putting Jay on blast for allegedly using his marriage to Beyoncé as leverage to snatch up awards. This isn't just industry politics. It's starting to look like a full-blown takedown campaign. Eminem has been calling out the Grammys for years, saying it's all rigged, pay to win, and controlled by backroom deals. And now the recent Album of the Year win for Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter is adding more fuel to the fire. Sure, she finally took home the top prize, but not everyone's buying that it was a clean win. A lot of folks believe Jay-Z pulled some serious strings behind the scenes. People started raising eyebrows after Jay-Z hit the stage at last year's Grammy Awards and called out the Recording Academy for constantly ignoring Beyoncé. But here's the twist. He was up there accepting an award while calling them biased. That had fans shaking their heads because it felt like he was trying to play both sides at once. The whole moment came off real strange. If Jay really thought the Grammys were unfair, why not walk away completely? Why still chase their approval instead of shutting it all down with a full boycott? That mixed message just added more heat to the growing rumors that the Carters have been working the system through backdoor pressure and big money influence. For years, whispers have been floating around the industry that Grammy wins aren't about talent. They're about politics, power, and connections. And one of the boldest voices saying it out loud has been Eminem. He's made it crystal clear he thinks the entire setup is a scam. In fact, he's even vowed never to show up again. And M's not bitter. He said straight up that he wouldn't be mad losing if the other artist dropped a better album. What really fires him up is how the Grammys keep using his name for ratings, acting like he's got a shot just to turn around and shut him out at the last second. That's the game he's exposing. When asked if he'd ever consider going back to the Grammys, maybe even as part of the voting committee, Eminem didn't hold back. He said it wouldn't change a thing. According to him, the whole system is already locked in. The decisions are made before the votes even count. And the entire process is nothing but smoke and mirrors. And 50 Cent, he's been just as vocal, if not louder. He didn't just say the awards are biased. He said flat out that Jay-Z's Grammy wins are more about who he's married to than his actual bars or musical skill. According to 50, the Recording Academy knows exactly what they're doing. As long as Jay and Beyoncé show up, the viewership goes up and that means more money. So to keep that star power rolling in, they toss awards and nominations their way like clockwork. But 50 wasn't finished. On the Flagrant podcast, he really let loose. He doubled down, saying Jay-Z's Grammy streak has way more to do with Beyoncé than anything else. And here's where it got extra wild. He even hinted that their whole relationship might be more business than love, calling it a contract. The suggestion, they're staying together not for romance, but for control and career power. And it's not just 50 sounding the alarm. Other insiders have been saying for years that Jay-Z and Beyoncé allegedly held back rising talent, making sure nobody outshined them at the top of the charts. These aren't just random rumors. They're coming from people who've seen how the industry moves behind the scenes. One of the most explosive claims came from Beyoncé's former bodyguard, Uncle Ron, just before his death from pneumonia. He said he had solid proof that Jay and Ba destroyed careers and tore apart lives to protect their empire. That statement shook fans and raised even more questions about just how far the Carters were willing to go to stay on top. And then there's Jaguar Wright, Jay-Z's former background singer, and easily one of his loudest critics. She's been speaking out for years, claiming that several people close to Jay, including Harlem legend Big L, either lost their lives or had their careers crushed so that Jay could rise untouched to the top. That's a serious claim, and she's not backing down. Let's take a moment to break down Big L's story. In the early 90s, Big L was a major force in Harlem's underground hip-hop scene. Known for his razor-sharp freestyles and powerful bars, he signed with Columbia Records and made waves with his debut. But when Columbia let him go, Big L didn't fold. He bounced back and started his own label, catching the eye of none other than Dame Dash, the co-founder of Rockefeller. Things were looking up until tragedy struck. On February 15, 1999, Big L was shot and killed in a drive-by in Harlem. The case still unsolved to this day. But Jaguar Wright believes this wasn't just random street violence. She strongly suspects that Jay-Z might have had something to do with it. She even dropped a cryptic line saying, "See how good I keep secrets, Sean?" aiming it right at Jay. And that's not the only beef out there. DMX also had no problem speaking up. He was one of the few major names aside from 50 Cent who wasn't afraid to go at Jay-Z directly. When Jay became president of Def Jam in 2004, DMX had just run up 5 back-to-back #1 albums from 1998 to 2003. He was on fire. But when DMX was prepping his 6th album, Year of the Dog, again, things started to shift. DMX later claimed that Jay-Z personally delayed the album's release, allegedly to clear the way for his own comeback. That move didn't sit right with DMX, and it added to the growing talk that Jay wasn't above stepping on others to keep his spot secure. But that's not even the full story. In 2005, DMX dropped a track called The Industry, a raw exposé revealing the darker corners of the music world. And what's wild is that a lot of what DMX called out back then is still going on today. From shady contracts to industry sabotage, his warnings hit harder than ever. And then there's Irv Gotti, who once made a bold claim that Jay-Z was flat out jealous of DMX. Irv said that back in the day, Jay and his mentor Liar Cohen would laugh at DMX behind the scenes and never believed he'd make it big. But we all know how that turned out. DMX ended up dominating the charts and building a loyal fan base that still stands strong today. The same kind of shady energy seemed to surround Beanie Siegel too. Beanie said it always felt like something behind the scenes was blocking him from leveling up. One example, Jay-Z allegedly made sure to release his own albums around the same time as Beanie's, squeezing him out of spotlight and limiting his sales. That kind of timing doesn't feel like a coincidence. Now, Beanie did admit that his legal troubles played a part in slowing down his success, but he also made it clear Jay's moves weren't innocent. According to Beanie, Jay did it on purpose, like there was a ceiling Beanie wasn't allowed to break through. And let's not act like Beyoncé's out of the picture here either. While some fans try to paint her as just a bystander under Jay's control, it's hard to believe she stayed locked in for all these years without being part of the strategy. One thing people say, the power couple allegedly shares a habit of knocking down any artist who looks like competition. Let's talk about some real examples that fans believe show how far Beyoncé and Jay-Z allegedly go to protect their empire. When Beyoncé broke off from Destiny's Child and started dating Jay, rumors started flying that Jay allegedly pulled a major move, taking producer Rich Harrison away from singer Amory, who was supposedly viewed as a threat to Beyoncé's solo rise. If you remember Amy's track, One Thing, it had that exact same vibe as Crazy in Love, and many believe Beyoncé's hit was heavily inspired by it. Then there's Carrie Hilson, whose clash with Beyoncé turned into a full-blown disaster. According to reports, Carey's producers allegedly tricked her into recording a diss track that appeared to take shots at Bey, something she later denied. But the damage was already done. And when Carey refused to hold a magazine featuring Beyoncé and Jay-Z on the cover, things exploded again. What followed was intense backlash from Beyoncé's fan base. People online dragging Carey constantly, and even reports of her being harassed in public. That kind of treatment had folks wondering, was this all really organic fan behavior, or was someone behind the scenes pulling strings? Rumors began spreading fast that Beyoncé had a direct hand in the whole situation. Some insiders claimed she orchestrated the drama, getting Carr's team to bait her into that disc and then stepping back while the fallout crushed Carey's career. Bey came out looking like the innocent one while Carey got burned. Even Carey Hilson gave some truth to the speculation years later. In a 2020 interview, she admitted she felt pressured to release the song and said the threats she received afterward were serious. That kind of setup makes people wonder, was this just beef or something way more calculated? And we definitely can't leave out Kelis, who came forward accusing Beyoncé of straight-up disrespect after Bass sampled her iconic track Milkshake without giving her any credit. Kelis didn't even know the sample was being used until fans started tagging her all over social media. She said she was shocked, calling the move disrespectful and flat-out ignorant. I heard about this the same way everyone else did. Kelis wrote online, "She didn't hold back, saying, 'Nothing is ever as it seems.' Some of the people in this business have no soul or integrity, and they have everyone fooled." That statement hit hard, and it had fans looking at Beyoncé's team sideways. Later, Kelis went deeper on Instagram explaining why she was so hurt by the situation. She said, "Not only are we Black female artists in an industry where there's not that many of us, we've met, we know each other, we even have mutual friends." She made it clear it wasn't about paperwork. It was about respect. Kelis added that reaching out would have been simple. It was just about common decency. But instead of addressing the situation, Beyoncé quietly removed the Milkshake sample and never said a word. No apology, no explanation, just silence. That only fueled more speculation that these industry power moves are handled behind closed doors without any accountability. And then there's Maya, another artist whose name often comes up in these conversations. She was allegedly blackballed after she reportedly turned down Jay-Z's advances. While Maya didn't name names, she spoke up in interviews about how people in high positions often misuse their power, and how that creates a dangerous environment for young artists chasing success. She said a lot of artists don't even realize what they're giving up until it's too late. When asked how she stayed grounded, Maya said she simply said no and walked away. But she also hinted that turning down certain people came with serious consequences, like being shut out and having her name dragged through the mud. So, as you've just seen, there's a growing list of artists who believe Jay-Z and Beyoncé may have played a role in blocking their success, pulling strings behind the scenes to protect their empire. From career sabotage to shady business moves, these claims aren't coming from random voices. We're talking major names like 50 Cent, Eminem, Kelis, DMX, Beanie Sigel, and more. And this list is far from complete. So what do you think? Is there some truth to all these accusations? Could the Carters really be using their influence to shut down competition? And are there even more artists out there who were pushed aside without us knowing? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know who you think got blackballed. And don't forget, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next.